Welcome to today's advanced level class. We'll get started in just about 15 minutes, right at 2 o'clock. We will start the actual lesson. Before we start, as usual, I have some announcements. But before that, let's talk about the prerequisites for today's lesson. Last live stream, I saw you guys 2 weeks ago, we talked about the form Tani. And this form is essential in order to completely follow along with today's lesson. Now, you technically don't have to know Tani already in order to learn Tanika because they're actually separate forms. But if you really want to learn like the inner workings of the form we're going to be learning today, I recommend that you review this form, which we talked about last week, because one of the forms using Tani is actually the same form that we're going to be learning today, but with another usage. Last time we learned that there were like 2 or 3 different uses for Tani. Well, there are also 2 uses for Tanika. So if you know this, you'll get a little bit more out of the lesson, but it's not 100% essential. However, quoting forms, you need to be really good at using quoting. So all sorts of quoting, past, all tenses, all types of quoting. So suggestions, commands, quoting things people asked or just said, and all types of verbs. So you want to make sure you're really comfortable using quoting forms before today's lesson, but that's the most important one. Welcome. Let's just check out who is here. Let's see. Oh, hey, Chris. Welcome, Cheryl. The person in Russian, I can't read. It just looks like it says Zena. So I'm just going to call you Zena. Zena, warrior princess. Did anyone else watch those shows when they were a kid? Xena and what was it? There was Hercules, which wasn't as good. But then there was Hercules and Xena, which was kind of okay. I used to watch this show sometime. Let's see. Grant. 오늘 고급 수업이네. 예. 오늘 고급 한국어를 배울 거예요. 고급 문법이요. Advanced grammar. Let's see who else is here. Anselmida, welcome. I should probably pick this up so I'm not like looking down like that. Is it really Xenia? So you are Xena. You are the warrior princess. It's true. And welcome to everyone else. I know some of you are new here. Now, we might have fewer people than normal. I don't know. We have about 60 people watching right now. It might be fewer than normal because I didn't know this, but I just realized that today is actually the Super Bowl. So there might be some advanced learners that are choosing to watch the Super Bowl instead of learning Korean. Shame. Such shame. No, actually, I really don't care because this live stream all gets recorded, so you can always watch it later. Or maybe there's someone having a Super Bowl party, but when everyone gets together, they switch on my live stream and they just watch that while eating snacks. That would be a cool party. Shout out to anyone who's doing that right now, a Super Bowl party, but they actually turned this on instead of Super Bowl and nobody realized it yet. And okay, that is all of the prerequisites for today. Also, we will be getting all new voting options tomorrow. So what it is members can request topics. Now, I used to take topics from everyone. Unfortunately, there's too many, so I had to restrict it to only YouTube members where I take requests from. So if you're a YouTube member, you still have time tonight to get in your recommendations for future classes you'd like to see. If there's a topic you really want me to cover and I haven't covered it yet, send me a request. I might add it to the new voting options that are going to be going up tomorrow. So yeah, you still have time for that. Also, if you are a member, remember that you get access to all of these abridged classes the same night that they finish. So after today's live stream, you can go on my channel a few hours later and watch this abridged version that I haven't taught yet, cut down to about 10 or 15 minutes so you can do a really quick review. That is also available only to members for tonight. Everyone else has to watch, wait till later in the week before they can watch that. Another announcement is if you're looking for a place to practice Korean or just hang out, I do have an active Discord chat. It's open 24/7. There are natives in there. There are advanced learners in there. There's a lot of other beginning learners, but that's okay. You can practice your Korean. Ask questions. I'm there too, and it's totally free. There's a link in the description of this video. Another announcement is, oh yes, let me put this up. I always, It's still kind of cold weather, so I guess I can still pin a hoodie to the chat. It's still fairly cold. Just your daily reminder that I have merchandise. I feel like Linus Tech Tips every single time I pin my merchandise. So yeah, you can get merchandise for this channel if you'd like to support it or just kind of show off. I know a few of you I've already seen have it, and that's pretty cool. I have some of it too, but I don't wear it on these streams because I need my uniform, but I do have some of it as well. And our last announcement is if you are a member on Patreon, you get worksheets and outlines for every live stream. So for this live stream today, you can go on right now and get an additional 14 example sentences using this form. Now, when you're learning a concept, it's good to get as much exposure to it as possible. So one of the ways to do that is, you read a lot of sentences, you make lots of practice sentences. But obviously, I don't have time to do 30 example sentences during a 1 or 2 hour live stream. So that's what the worksheet's for, to kind of supplement the classes that we're doing today. Today, I think we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sentences that we're going to be going through. Like, they're kind of long and complicated and very diverse, but there are 14 more. So if you feel like, oh, I wish Billy did more sentences during his live. Well, that's exactly what the worksheet is for. So make sure to get that if you are a Patreon member. And for all of those who I can't speak, for all of those of you who are already Patreon members, of course, thank you very much for your support. Okay. Let me check here. Okay. We still have about 8 minutes before we get started. So let me just check the chat for a bit. Isn't your uniform cold in the winter? Are you planning on getting a sweater? No, I do have a scarf though. I do have a scarf that's in this same pattern as my shirt. And sometimes I wear that outside. If it's really cold, I'll just wear a coat over this. I do not have a plaid coat. I can't think of anything more tacky than a plaid coat in the wintertime. I wonder if it exists. If you can find one that matches this pattern, let me know. Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I'll get it. Hey everyone. Yeah, I see some people coming in now. Chat's getting a little bit more full. All right. Lots more of you are choosing Korean over the Super Bowl today. 8 minutes. Do I have time to use the bathroom then? Do you take more than 8 minutes to use the bathroom? I hope you have time. I'm sure you'll have time. The background is great. Peaceful. Thank you. Yes. We always have a different background. This time I am actually just hanging out at this. I think it's I actually don't really know what it is. I think it's a store that sells a bunch of these types of statues that I'm just kind of hanging out. They have them like laid out over here. It's like a small shop that sells these types of carved statues. I just thought it looked cool, so I thought this would be a good place for doing the live today. Let's see here. What even is Super Ball? Super Ball. Is Super Ball, is that like Monkey Ball? Super Monkey Ball? Let's see here. It's 7 a.m. The Audi is art. Wow, it's quite early. Here it is about 2 p.m. I always do the live streams at this same time. Why does Billy always wear a cap? Any conspiracies? Well, the real reason is when I filmed the very first video, I just wanted to wear a hat because I got this hat in 2009 in Korea. I took a trip to hang out in Japan and Korea. Me and my mom went together, just the two of us. And I bought this cap on the side of the street. Actually, not this one. This is one I bought a little later. The original hat, it's in my closet. That's the one I bought on the street. It was just full of spelling mistakes. I just thought it was hilarious. The one that says California and everything. Yeah, it was just because I thought it was funny because I had a bunch of spelling mistakes, and I'm like, I'm from California, so I bought it. And then later I found out the company that makes it. They have a lot of hats like this now, not anymore, but they did. So I ordered this one. I also have a couple more, and then I wanted even more, so I custom ordered some more hats that say California and they're same color and design. So maybe I'll bring one of those to Korea. Maybe I'll bring it to a fan meetup as like a prize or something in the future. We'll see. But yeah, I have a lot of hats now. It used to just be one until like 2 years ago. And then now it's like, I don't know, 10 hats or something I have now. 우리만의 시간. Yes, only our time. I've learned Hani in school, but I've kind of forgotten what it is. Maybe I'll remember after this lesson. if you haven't learned Tani already, we're not going to be going over it in this lesson because today's lesson is Tanika, which is unrelated to Tani, but kind of related to Tani if you remember from the lesson we did 2 weeks ago. Hi, Billy. When is your live for beginner level? It all depends on what members request. So the topics that we do that you vote on, all of those come from suggestions from channel members. So if you want more beginner topics, join my channel, request that I do a beginner topic that I haven't already done, and I'll add it to the vote. That's pretty much how it works. Sometimes members will request beginner topics, and I usually actually do. Most of the classes I've done have been beginner level. And then right after that, maybe like 50% beginner, 40% intermediate, and then like 10% or less advanced. So most of them are beginner level already. But if you'd like more, join, make a request, and I can add it to the list. And same goes with advanced. If you'd like to see more advanced lessons like this, you're bored of all the beginner content on the internet, you want some more advanced stuff, join my channel, make a recommendation, and I can teach it in a future class. Like today's lesson actually was a member request, as well as last one and the last one and the last one and the last like 50 or so have all been member requests. Like members specifically wanted me to do the class and they said, hey, Billy, can you teach this topic? Okay. 터키인, 인도인, 몽골인, 중앙아시아인, 한국말을 제일 잘해요. Really? I don't know enough people from those areas to judge who speaks the best Korean. Beginners unite. Request a beginner live stream. Just remember you have to be a YouTube member. Yes, that's right. Okay. Oh no, I just dropped my I think this is like 8 years old now. My 8-year-old tablet. It still turns on, but I have enough money. You guys sent me donations a few weeks ago to buy a new tablet as soon as this one stops working. So I'm just waiting for this one to stop turning on or crack or something like that. And then I'm immediately going to order a new one because this was a very cheap tablet that I got. I think it was like 2013, maybe 2014 I bought it. Probably even before then. Okay, so we're going to get started with our lesson really soon. I just wanted to say, for those of you who are, I can't speak. For those of you who are here, let me drink some tea before I try operating my mouth. I just want to give you guys a pro tip. From an advanced Korean speaker, from a fluent Korean, from a Korean teacher to you, the student. The most important thing you can do to learn Korean, the fastest way you can learn Korean, the best way, maybe you don't care about that, the fastest way to learn Korean, and the way that you're going to speak the best Korean is practicing, by practicing the language. Now, I could say that, but there's a lot of people who don't believe it. There's still a lot of people who think that the best way to get good at Korean is watching tons of Korean dramas. I'm not saying those aren't good. I'm talking about like, what's the best way to learn? There's some people that feel like the best way to learn is just read a bunch of books. Just watch a bunch of TV shows. Look up the words. Watch movies. Listen to a ton of music. Listen to podcasts every day. Now, those are all good. Those will all help you with your Korean. They're great. This isn't about that. But those are not the best ways to learn Korean. Those are not the most influential. Those are not the most impactful methods for learning Korean. The most impactful method for learning Korean is always going to be you actually using the language. You want to get better at speaking Korean. You want to get better at writing or reading Korean, or I shouldn't say that. You want to get better at Korean overall. You want to get better at speaking it. Well, how do you get better at speaking or using Korean? You practice using Korean. If you wanted to learn cooking, okay, let's compare this to something else, another life skill. If you want to get good at cooking, you cook as much as possible. You can watch the home cooking channel or whatever. You can watch Gordon Ramsay swear at people and ask where's the duck sauce or whatever. What was that? The lamb sauce. You could watch YouTube videos with tutorials. You can read blogs about cooking, right? But are you going to get good at cooking by doing those things alone? No. If you watch all the episodes of Gordon Ramsay's, Hell's Kitchen or whatever, are you going to get good at cooking? No, but you're going to learn some stuff, right? You're going to improve. You're going to feel like, oh, wow, I learned some cool things. It's fun. But you're not going to get better at cooking until you actually start practicing those things that you're getting as input. And it's the same with languages. If you want to get good at speaking Korean, yeah, podcasts are great. Watching dramas, reading, all of those things are essential, but they're not what are going to be actually directly affecting your Korean abilities. It doesn't matter how many dramas you watch, how much K-pop you listen to, whatever, unless you're using that, it's all going in one ear and eventually back out the other. You're going to forget it. You're learning it temporarily and you're like, oh yeah, I know that. Oh yeah, I can understand a little more. You're not able to actually use it. And I know, I won't say who, I know a bunch of people who like to learn Korean by not learning Korean, if that makes sense, by just getting a lot of input only, or maybe not even that, maybe just like watching lots of dramas and then feeling like, oh, I can't speak Korean. I watch dramas every day, 4 hours a day. Why can't I speak Korean, Billy? And I get fan mail like that. I get questions like that in my email. And it's that sort of thing can only help you as much as you're actually putting out as well. So yeah, just think about it like cooking. You want to get good at cooking, you cook. You can watch blogs, you can read recipes, of course. Watch Gordon Ramsay. All that's great. Those are all great tips. But if you want to get better at doing something, you do it. You want to get better at speaking Korean, you speak it. You want to get better at writing Korean, you write it. That's how it works. So that's just my pro tip as a Korean teacher. You are in charge of your own Korean learning. So don't rely on anyone else to tell you what you should do when you're learning. You are the one that's in charge. You are the one who picks your resources. You pick your teachers. You pick how you want to practice. You pick your pen pals and all that stuff. That's completely up to you. Just keep that in mind. You are the only one that's in charge of your Korean learning, not me. Nobody else but you. Okay, so now that I have wasted 2 minutes of our lesson time, so let's get started with today's lesson. We are going to be learning a form that is advanced today. Now, it is advanced not because it is advanced to understand it, but because it is advanced to actually be able to use it in a natural sounding sentence. The form we're learning today actually has 2 different uses. Although it looks the exact same, there are actually 2 different ways to use it. The first one is using the quoting form. And then you attach Nika. Now, what is this quoting form? Well, this is similar to the plain form with a couple exceptions. This is whatever you put before ko when you're making a quote. So if you take the verb hada, well, that'll be handa. So that would be the plain form. However, if you're doing this with a verb like ida, to be, you don't get ida, you get i rago, right? Or maybe just rago after a consonant. And anirago, you also get, and anida, to not be, you also get anirago. So it's this part here, ira, nika, or that's not the only thing you can put here though, right? When you're making a quote, what else can you do? You can also do past tense. So hada can become hetta, hettago. So hetta nika. Not only statements though, but when you're making quotes, you can also quote a question. Did he do that? Or does he do that? Well, you can get 했냐. So now you can get 했냐니까. 했냐니까. I don't know, it sounded like a song there. Okay, 했냐. If you're making a suggestion, for example, 하다 could become 하자. Well, normally you get 하자고 as a quote. Well, 하자니까, a command, you can also get 하라니까. So you have a lot of variation that you can use in this form, depending on what sort of quoting form and what tense you're using. Just keep that in mind. So it is not only Tanika. Tanika is just the easy way to keep track of what grammar form you're learning and to distinguish it from the regular unika form, because there is the regular unika form. The form we're learning today is actually very related to this regular nika form. And we'll talk about how that works. Okay, so originally this Tanika form is shortened from ta 타고 하니까. So you get 타니까. Now, what is this? 타고 하니까. Well, this is a quoting form because what is 하니까? 말하니까. It's the same thing as 말하니까. Because someone, we don't know who, because someone says, quote. So at its, in detail, like what I was trying to say, this specifically, this form is just because someone says, quote. At its most basic form, that's all this is. Because someone says, quote. So because he said, there's no more time, let's go. Sure. Because someone says, quote. That is this form. At its most simplistic, in its most simplistic form, that is what this is. Because someone says, quote. Okay. And if you remember when we did the Tani lesson, one of the ways to use Tani was also like this. Tani could also be shortened from 말하다니, I guess technically. 말하다니. So someone says something and I react to it. Ni. And I react to it. So this is actually very similar to the Tanika form we already learned, but with a ga at the end. Now, what does this ga mean? Does anyone already know what this ga does? How does this ga change tani into something else just by adding ga? Does anyone know in chat? It's really quick. See if, just want to look at the chat for a second anyway. Is the writing a little faint? Yeah, it's a little bit faint. That's because I got a new marker. It'll get thicker as it gets flatter. Don't worry. I'll also push a little bit harder. Okay. After 1 month, you get KeyCat like me. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for members, you get different icons next to your name depending on how long you've been a member. There's also emoticons you can use. Oh, I added a new emote. I didn't tell you guys. So we hit enough members to add another emote. So we got this one. Yeah, it's also animated. If you join the Discord, you can get an animated version too. But yeah, for the YouTube, only members can use that, and that's the new one. It's KeyCat holding up a 100 sign. Okay. Cause and effect. Yeah, Nabi, cause and effect. All the ka does is changes this ni, which means like reacting to something, and it adds the meaning of a cause and effect, or we would just say because. So just sticking on ka makes it a because form, because of someone, therefore. Instead of just someone does something and I'm reacting to it, no, it's because someone does something, then you can react to it, you can do whatever you want. So we'll talk about that as well in a second. Okay, just want to show you, it's technically very related to the form we just did. Okay, so so we haven't even talked about what this form is used for. So what is Tanika used for? It is used for replying to a quote said by someone. Tanika is used for replying to a quote, so that something that someone said, a quote said by someone. Now, who is this someone? It could be someone else, or it could also be yourself. It's just someone. So this form is used for replying to something that somebody said. Replying to a quote, if you want to think about it really short. This form is used for replying to a quote, to reply to something that somebody said. So you're giving a reply to it. Doesn't that kind of remind you of the Tani form? If you were here for our last lesson, we went really in depth about Tani. Doesn't that kind of remind you about the Tani form? Because the Tani form was also for not replying to a quote, but reacting to a quote was one of its forms. When you use it with the quoting form and Tani. That was used for reacting to a quote. Well, now that we add the ga to the end, it makes a because. So that because someone says something, I'm going to reply to that. So this form is used for replying to a quote. So to reply to something that somebody said. We'll talk about exactly how that works. It's not just you're saying yes. Someone says, do you want to eat pizza? You're like, yes. Well, I'm using Tanika. I'm replying to their quote. It's not quite like that. Oh, I got a new member. Hey, Tolkien. I always think of Tolkien, like Lord of the Rings. Thank you for joining us, Precious. Tolkien GLX, thank you. Welcome to the fan club. Okay. All right. However, this is still different than the Tani form that we learned before. Because Tani, when you use Tani, you're giving your reaction to something. So it's used for showing a reaction to something. Tanika doesn't need that, doesn't have that requirement. So you can add your reaction to something if you remove ga from the end. So if you wanted to use Tani, this form, you can give a reaction. So because someone said something, I'm shocked, I can't believe it, like that with your reaction. But if you add ga, it no longer is used for giving your reaction to something. Also, let's see. Oh yeah. So then if you actually might see, actually, we don't even need to cover this. I'll save you some time. It's a little bit too technical. I was going to talk about how sometimes it can actually appear to be the same as Tani, but it won't be confusing because the context will clarify. Okay, and then there's another important rule you need to know about Tanika, and that is whatever you say before Tanika, whatever subject goes before Tanika must be different than whatever subject comes after Tanika. So you cannot use this to say something like, because I said, I will do something. You can't do that. It has to be a different subject. Because I said something, you do something. Because you said something, Charsu is doing something. Because someone else said something, you do something. It has to be different subjects whenever you're using this form. Now, this is also a feature of the Nika form normally. I don't really ever talk about this. When you're learning Nika for the first time, it's not really essential. But Nika also does the same thing too, when you're just saying because. Because something, you can use a different subject after. So you can use a different subject after or before. Sol, however, must be the same subject when you're using sol to connect two things, to say because. This has to be A and A. So that's the way that this form normally works anyway. Well, it also goes over to this because it's the same ga. This is like, for those of you who are interested in details, it's the same ga as up here. And they tend to carry the same rules when they get used. So just keep that in mind. It has to be different subjects before and after. You can't have the same person saying something and then the same person doing something after it. Okay, so let's do some example sentences, and then we're going to talk about, there's actually a second usage for this form as well. So let's just first do some example sentences with this form that we've learned so far. I'm going to write up one, and then I want you guys to think about it, and then we'll discuss it. Okay. 다음 주는 날씨가 좋을 거라니까 그때 여행을 같이 가요. Try to translate this yourself. I want you guys to think about this and try to translate it by yourself. Write down your translation for this in the chat. Now, again, keep in mind, this is an advanced topic. So not everyone watching will be able to follow along, but still give it your best. Give it your best shot anyway. Go ahead and give it a try anyway. Now don't guess, don't guess what words are. If you don't know a word, don't guess what it is. You can look it up. But try your best to make a translation for this. 다음 주는 날씨가 좋을 거라니까 그때 여행을 같이 가요. 그때 여행을 같이 가요. Let's see who's... Okay. Okay. Awesome, guys. Yeah, some very good translations. And again, there is no exact translation for anything in Korean ever. Even the most basic sentences can have multiple ways to translate them depending on the context. So yeah, these are all great. You guys got it. I didn't even have to explain it again. You guys got it. 다음 주는 날씨가 좋을 거라니까. So next week, 다음 주는 날씨, the weather, 좋다. The weather is good. So 좋을 거라고 말하니까, because they are saying that the weather will be good next week. Remember, it's a quoting form. 날씨가 좋을 거예요 would normally be the weather will be good. 날씨가 좋을 거라니까. So because they're saying the weather will be good next week, 그때, literally that time, so we would just say then, 그때 여행을 같이 가요. So let's take a trip together, 여행, then. They say the weather is going to be good next week, so let's take a trip together then. 다음 주. Again, because someone says, so here's A, and here's B. Because A says, next week the weather will be good. B, let's go together. So you can assume B is us, because 같이 가요 is let's go together. 같이 가요. So B is us. So A is not us. A is, right? It's not I'm saying. We know that because we know that B is us. 그때 여행을 같이 가요. So B is here. B is us. So A has to be someone else. Well, is A you? No, because it's not going to be second person you, because us includes I and you. So it's got to be a third party. And since nobody else is named, you can assume it's just they say, right? Someone says, A, we don't know who. Someone that says, maybe Charsu said, 다음 주는 날씨가 좋을 거라니까 그때 여행을 같이 가요. So someone says that you can assume it's the weather, they say. The weather forecast, they say, that next week's weather will be good, so let's take a trip then together. Okay. Let's put our friend Charsu in here again. Charsu가... I want you guys to translate this one too. I want to see if you guys can do the next one, because it's a little bit harder. Actually, there's no space to write that. Okay, I want you guys to translate this sentence too. 철수가 여기로 들어가는 걸 봤다니까 조금 더 기다려 봐요. 철수가 여기로 들어가는 걸 봤다니까 조금 더 기다려 봐요. See if you guys can do this one. This one's a little bit harder. If you are a beginner and understood any of that, then consider yourself doing very well. That's right, Shara. Yeah, if you're a beginner and you understood that, give yourself a pat on the back. Maybe you're transitioning out of beginner. I don't know. No, 원수지. That's right. I heard that Charsu is coming here, so try to wait a little longer. Nope. Nope. Try again. Charsu said he will come this way. Nope. Not that. They said they saw Charsu come from here, so let's wait a little longer. Maybe. Maybe it's that. Since I said I saw Charsu go in here, wait a little longer. Nope. Not that. They said Charsu was going to return here. Nope. Okay, this one's a little bit more vague. This one's a little bit trickier. I'll let you know. If you didn't get this one, don't feel too bad. This is a bit more tricky, but let me help. Okay. 철수가 여기로 들어가는 걸 봤다니까 조금 더 기다려 봐요. So let's look at our A and let's look at our B. Okay, if we can't figure out who it's talking about, B. Why did I say it like a Korean? B. B. 조금 더 기다려 봐요. What is this? It's a command, right? 기다려 봐요. Try waiting a little more. This could be a command to you, or let's wait a little bit more. 좀 더 기다려 봐요. Probably let's wait a little bit longer. You're not going to tell someone 기다려 봐요. I guess you could. So it could be we or it could be you. So this one is not going to be you. 100% it's not you because it's either we or you here, so it can't be you. Is it me? No. There's no indication of me saying it specifically. We can assume it's someone else. And that B is me or you or us. Because it's kind of vague. It could be either. Let's just say it's us. Let's wait a little bit longer. So let's, us. Well, A is going to be someone else. 철수가 여기로 들어가는 걸 봤다고. 봤어요. Someone saw 철수 go in there. Well, here actually. Someone saw 철수 go in here. 여기로 들어가는 걸 봤다고. Someone saw 철수 enter somewhere. 조금 더 기다려봐요. So let's wait a little bit longer. Someone said they saw Charsu go in here. So let's just wait a bit longer. Right? So you're waiting for Charsu and you don't know where he is. Well, your friend's like, hey, let's just go. And you're like, wait, 철수가 여기로 들어가는 걸 봤다니까? Because somebody said they saw 철수 go in here. 조금 더 기다려봐요. So you wait a little bit longer, or let's wait a little bit longer. This was a little bit trickier because it's a little more vague, but understanding it this way makes the most sense. This sounds the most clear. So someone said, because someone says they saw Charsu go in here. I don't want you to get the wrong idea though. This form can be used with things that you say, and you'll see in a moment. It doesn't have to be other people. It can be anyone. It tends to get used more often to talk about something that someone else did. But we'll talk about that we'll talk about how that works when we learn the next form. But it's also fine to use it for yourself. So it's not like you can assume that A is going to always be someone else. It can also be yourself too. 철수가 여기로 들어가는 걸 봤다니까 조금 더 기다려 봐요. So let's wait a little bit longer because someone said they saw Charsu go in here. Okay. I'll give you another one. That was a bit tricky, I admit. Because unless you hear the whole sentence, and unless you can kind of imagine a situation where that could be said, it's tricky to know who is saying what. We're going to do one. I want you guys to translate this one as well. 제가 혼자서 했다니까. This is a bit of other advanced grammar. I haven't covered this in a live stream yet. 눈치이다. I can talk about it really quick. It's another advanced grammar form I haven't talked about in a live yet, or in a video, or in my lessons yet. But go ahead and see if you guys know it. Give this one a try. 제가 혼자서 했다니까 믿지 않는 눈치였어요. 제가 혼자서 했다니까 믿지 않는 눈치였어요. This one's a very advanced sentence. But try it for fun. You know, sometimes it's fun to try something that's like a little bit above your level. Does it have to be a command? No, it doesn't have to be a command. This sentence is not a command. But would 기다려 보는 거, that wouldn't make sense. I think I am waiting. Cause sense 것 같다. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, Kalubka commented that though, that it wouldn't work for there. I didn't seem to believe that I did it by myself. Nope. Remember, A and B have to be different subjects. So you can't say something, I said I did it all by myself, and I can't believe it. That's not possible. One of these have to be different subjects. Keep that in mind. Because I said I was alone, not I was alone. 혼자 could be alone if you are 혼자 있어요, but 혼자 하다, to do something alone, to do something by yourself. He actually had the audacity to say that I did it alone. Nope, not that. I said I would do it alone. I feel like you don't believe me. Not I said I would do it. So pay extra careful attention to the tense. 했다. 했다니까. 했다. 했어요. I'm gonna Korean Made Simple. It's a great idea. It's a good series. I recommend it. There are 3 books with a workbook. Maybe new workbooks will come out later. I don't know. Korean Made Simples. I recommend it. Since I said I did it alone, they didn't believe me. The one and only. Nice. Kalubka. Julie-san. Good job. I didn't trust their ability. No, remember, Sophia Peters, it has to be 2 different subjects. So if you were saying, I said I did it myself, I didn't trust their ability wouldn't make any sense. So, I mean, grammatically, it has to be different subjects for Tanika, for this Nika form. There was an untrusting atmosphere. Okay, yeah, sure, that kind of works, I mean, awkward English. You might want to work on your English, fool. But not too bad of a translation. And you didn't have enough sense to believe me. Okay, I mean, I can see it's tricky to translate the 눈치 grammar form here. Yeah, if I grasp 눈치 better, that's the thing. This is another advanced topic. Maybe I can do, if someone requests, maybe we can do grammar forms with 눈치, because that's kind of a big topic also. It's not difficult though, but there are several of them. And okay, 제가 혼자서 했다니까 믿지 않는 눈치였어요. 제가 혼자서 했다니까 믿지 않는 눈치였어요. So much easier if I can just say the sentences at my regular speed. I can't do this for any of my classes except the advanced class. Whenever I do intermediate or beginner, I have to read it really slowly or else I feel like people might not be able to follow. But it's an advanced class. I can just speak normally. It's so freeing. Okay. 제가 혼자서. I have to speak slowly when I'm explaining though. 제가 혼자서 했다니까. So 제가 혼자서 했어요. So I did it all by myself. So I did it alone. I did it myself. 했다니까. Because I said, so we have I as the first subject. Because I said I did it all by myself. Someone else does something else in the end. Someone else has to be the second subject. 믿지 않는, so not believing, so disbelief. 눈치. 눈치 is, it's quite easy to translate in context. Out of context, 눈치 just means your ability to read a situation, specifically the ability to understand someone else's emotions. So if you tell someone that they have no 눈치, oh, Chris. Hey, thanks, Chris. I thought you were kicking out for leaving for a bit. Oh, thank you. Nice. Okay, where was I? 눈치. So in this case, it's kind of like a, I had the situational ability to realize something, but it's not actually you as the subject. It's simply just, there was the situational awareness in the air. So that's why I kind of laughed at Small's attempt to translate, because I'm like, it's correct. It's awkward, but it's correct. It's difficult to translate this one out of context here. But if we make a natural translation, we can get something like, I sensed that, or I noticed that it seemed like they didn't believe me. 믿지 않는 눈치. So I kind of got the feeling that. Now, again, the subject is not I, although in English it does become I, because that's how we could translate it naturally. We would just say, I felt that, or I sensed that. But the subject here, no, is just there was some sort of 눈치. 눈치 in the air, everywhere. Okay, that 믿지 않는 눈치, that is someone is in disbelief, that there was disbelief. So there was kind of like, after I said that I did it by myself, or literally because I said I did it by myself, then I noticed that they didn't believe me. They looked like they didn't believe me. That sort of feeling. After I said I did it by myself, I noticed that they looked like they didn't believe me. Could be a more natural translation. But again, literally it wouldn't be I. Literally it's because I said that they seemed like they didn't believe me. Okay. Next sentence. 제가 그것도 못. Okay, let's do a more difficult one, right? We're just doing too many easy ones. These are baby sentences. Let's do some real advanced sentences, some really hard sentences. Here we go. And they're more fun to do advanced sentences when we're doing an advanced lesson, right? Because now you guys understand what it means. Now we just got to practice actually being able to use it and actually being able to understand it in sentences. Let's do this a little bit nicer. So, okay, I'll make that a little bit easier. Okay. Okay. 제가 그것도 못 참냐니까 그럼 직접 해보라던데요. Yeah. 제가 그것도 못 참냐니까 그럼 직접 해보라던데요. How would you translate this? Go ahead and give it your best attempt. 제가 그것도 못 참냐니까 그럼 직접 해보라던데요. Now this one is, I'm going to warn you, be careful the subjects you use. It's not what you think at first glance. Unless you're in advanced, then it is what you probably think at first glance. Think about the subjects very carefully. Who is saying what? Who is doing what? Just telling you guys. You will be tricked. You can be tricked really easily by, yeah, I'll just say that. I don't want to give it away. Okay. 제가 그것도 못 참냐니까 그럼 직접 해보라던데요. If you don't know this form, now I will be a little bit nicer to you if you're not advanced. 던데요. If you don't know this form, I did do a live stream about it, but you can just think of it as a past tense form. Someone did something. 보라. Well, I'm not going to tell you what it would be in past tense, but I'll tell you it's a past tense form. It's not exactly just a past tense form, but it does mean past tense. Let's see. I asked him if he couldn't stand it, and he told me to try it myself. KM, that's not bad. because I said that I couldn't, they said try doing it. Nope. This is a bit more difficult. This is our most advanced sentence so far. And it's not like the words in here are that advanced. It's the usage of this grammar form because, like I said, it has to be two different subjects. That too, so I asked to try to do it. So, nope. So I asked, can't you bear it yourself? They told me to try. Okay, Nicoletta. Nice. Anyone else want to try? So we have A and B, different subjects, remember? 제가 그것도 못 참냐니까. So, because I said, so A is going to be I. So I am the first subject. So B is someone else. They, he, she, or maybe you. 보라던데요. This is not going to be you. Unless you're recalling, like you said something. When I said do this, you said this. Yeah, I guess it could be. But anyway, it's someone else. 제가 그것도 못 참냐니까. 참다 is to endure, to put up with, to bear. To be able to handle something like 못 참아. People might say, 이거 못 참아. I can't handle this. I can't deal with this. 그것도, not even that. So I asked 참냐고 하니까 because I said, can you not even 이것도 못 참냐, 그것도 못 참냐, like can you not even handle that? You can't even handle that. And when I asked them that, 그것도 못 참냐니까, they said, B said, 그럼, well then, 직접 하다, to do something yourself. 직접 해보라, do it yourself. 직접 해보라. Normally people wouldn't say 직접 해보라. They would say 직접 해봐라. 직접 해보라고 하던데요. So I recall they had said, do it yourself. So then, do it yourself is what they said. Because I said, can't you even handle that? 제가 그것도 못 참냐니까 그럼 직접 해보라던데요. So I was saying like, hey, can't you even deal with this? Like you can't even handle this? You can't even manage this? Come on. So then they said, I remember that they told me, well then just do it yourself. 직접 해보라던데요. Now, this isn't part of the lesson, but 직접 is a really useful word. If you do not know this word, if you're just hanging out here as a beginner lurking, I recommend learning this. 직접 means directly. So you can say like directly ask someone. 직접 가서 물어보고 싶어요. I want to directly ask them myself. 직접 also can mean direct, face to face with someone. 직접 만나다 is like to meet in person, to meet actually. And also 직접 can be, 직접 하다 can be like do something yourself, like go out and do it yourself. It can also be like literally directly or like indirectly. Like you can say Americans speak very directly. You can 직접적. Now you have directly. But yeah, it's a really good word to use. It has lots of different meanings. 직접 해보고 싶어요. Like I want to do it myself. I actually want to try it directly, like face to face, right there. I want to give it a try myself. Like you might see someone talking about like a new device they're working on. You're like, 저도 직접 해보고 싶어요. Like I'd like to try it too, directly. But you wouldn't really say directly in English. We would just say, actually going there and doing it. Or 직접 만나보고 싶어요. I'd like to meet you face to face. 직접, directly, myself. 직접 하다, so do it yourself directly. Like you go do it yourself. Okay, not part of the lesson, just super useful adverb to know. 직접 보다, also to see something directly, like I directly saw it myself. That's not the same as saying that I 목격하다, I witnessed something directly, but it's similar. 직접 보다, like I saw it myself. Okay, next sentence. So let's write this a little bit nicer. 음료수를 사오라니까 콜라를 사왔어요. 음료수를 사오라니까 콜라를 사왔어요. 음료수를 사오라니까 콜라를 사왔어요. How would you translate this one? I liked a purple. Who's watching the Super Bowl? 108 of you are not. Thank you. Welcome. I was worried that no one would show up because of the Super Bowl. I always do a live stream on the Super Bowl every year. I've never had the 1 week off land on a Super Bowl yet. Maybe I have to do this. Maybe next year it will, because I've been doing this live stream since 2018. So 19, 20, 21, maybe the third year, maybe third or fourth year, it'll land once on the Super Bowl. But yeah, it's okay. It's also going to be Valentine's Day next week. I'm also going to be live streaming on Valentine's Day for you guys. Okay. What better way to say I love you to your most important person in your life than by watching a Go Billy Korean live Korean lesson together? I can't think of anything more romantic. They told me to buy a drink, so I got a cola. They told me to buy drinks. Because you told me to buy you a drink and come back, I brought you a cola. They told me to buy a drink. Because I told them to buy a drink, they bought a Coke. Yeah. Okay, you guys are on the right track. So we're going to have A and B. So again, think about this form the most basic way. Because someone said, 오다, 사오다, to buy and come, literally to buy and come. Now, in English, we just say to go buy. Like if you say, 음료수를 사왔어요, like you wouldn't say, I bought a drink, I bought a beverage and came back. You just say, I bought a drink, right? We don't need to convey the, and I came back aspect. But in Korean, they do. They say, 사가다. Like, I'll buy something and then go. Like, hey, can you bring some drinks to the party? 내가 사갈게. Yeah, I'll buy some and then go to the party. That sort of meaning. Whereas in English, we would just say, I'll buy it. And then sometimes a lot of times you get inaccurate, unnatural translations when Korean learners try to translate what they're thinking in English to Korean. And they'll say, 내가 살게. Like, I'll buy it. That doesn't imply that you're going to go there, though. It just applies like, I'll buy it. Now, it's not wrong, but it's not as complete as saying, I'm going to buy it and bring it to the party. 내가 사갈게. Yeah, sure, I'll buy it and go there, literally. Or 사올게. I'll buy it and come here. That sort of thing. So anyway, that's what it is. 음료수를 사오라니까. 음료수를 사오라니까. Because I said, or because someone said, buy drinks. Let's just do someone else. Doesn't really matter unless there's a reason why it can't be. 음료수를 사오라니까 콜라를 사왔어요. 콜라를 사왔어요. So cola. This is what we would just call Coke. 콜라를 사왔어요. So I bought Coke. Someone told me to buy a beverage, so I bought Coke. Or 음료수를 사오라니까 콜라를 사왔어요. So I told someone, I said, 사오라, 오라. I'm like putting in the tongue rolling thing in Korean. Don't do that. 제가 음료수를 사오라니까 철수가, someone else, 콜라를 사왔어요. So because I said, buy some beverage, go buy some beverage, 콜라를 사왔어요. He or she, someone else, bought Coke. Okay. That's pretty much all the sentence is. 음료수를 사오라니까 콜라를 사왔어요. So I said, buy a beverage, and they brought back Coke. Okay. But what about this? This is only a question for actual advanced speakers in here. Okay, this is, I understand this is going to be a bit confusing. What if I said this? What would this mean? 사이다. So first of all, okay, this isn't the hard part. 사이다 is, all I've changed is one word. 사이다 is, in English we would say cider, but it's actually not cider in English. 사이다 came from, I think it was like some type of cider, anyway, from some French guy that made it in Japan or something like that. And it's basically carbonated lemon soda or carbonated lime soda. Now, we would all know this as sodas that are like 7-Up or Sprite, but there's a few more that would fall in that category, right? Like a lemon flavor or a lime flavor, or maybe lemon lime, carbonated soda. Those are all called saida in Korean. Versus cola, which is anything that's flavored with the Coke, the bean, you know, like Coke, Pepsi, all that stuff is cola. So what would this sentence mean? All I did was change one word. But when you translate this sentence, it's going to seem a bit strange. If you just translate it, you think, oh, Billy, I got this. You just translate it. Read it back to yourself. Does that sound natural? What does this sentence mean? 사이다를 사오라니까 콜라를 사왔어요. Yeah, so you translated Augustus. I told someone to go buy a Sprite, so he got Coke. I asked them to buy a cider and they came back with a Coke. Okay. Yeah, it's implying they're an idiot because they don't know the difference between cider and Coke. Yeah, that could be a possibility. So this is a bit more advanced because now we have a sentence that when you translate it in English, it sounds wrong. Like, why did they bring back Coca-Cola when I asked them to go buy a 7-Up? I asked them to buy a 7-Up because I asked them to buy a 7-Up, they brought back a Coke. Like, what? That sounds a bit strange. But you think about it more like, well, I asked them, go buy me a Coke. And because of that, their reply was, how they replied to that was, by bringing back a Coke. Even though I asked them to buy a 7-Up, they brought back a Coke. So that's kind of implying like maybe they did it on purpose. Like I asked them to go bring me a 7-Up and he came back with a Coke. Like that's sort of disappointment, right? You're like, what is he doing? I told him to go buy me a Sprite and then he comes back with a Coke. What's up with It's probably char siu. I said someone else, but we all know who the real culprit of this sentence is. The subject is char siu. 사이다를 사오라니까 제가 사이다를 사오라니까 철수가 콜라를 사왔어요. You know, that's how it works. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys another variation how it doesn't have to always translate very cleanly as because I said. Because if you do that, because I said to buy 7-Up, someone brought back a Coke. That sounds very awkward in English. Like instead think of it like I said go buy a 7-Up, and in reply, what happened to that? What happened as a result of that? Because of that, what happened? What was the result of me asking that? Well, the result was, they brought back a Coke. So they brought back a Coke after I said, you can think of after. This is just a tip. You can write this down. You can sometimes translate this. If you're trying to translate a sentence with like Tanika, and it doesn't seem to make sense with because in your head, try sticking in the word after, because in English, we actually do this. We change some words to other words, even though it doesn't mean after something happens. But in Korean, this nika form actually can mean after doing something. After you do something, then something happens. But it's a literal because, but it's sort of like after saying that, well, as a result of that, after that, because of that, that's sort of after, like as a result, after that. And in English, we sometimes express that with after, when something happens after because of something. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. Just write down after can sometimes be a good translation for this form. So after I asked him to get me a 7-Up, he came back with a Coke. If that helps. Because not only do I teach Korean, but I also do a lot of translating. And you come across that a lot of forms in Korean don't translate nicely into English. So whenever I come up with a nice way of translating something, I'll share it with you guys. Okay. There is one more way that you can use this Tanika form. And this is actually the one you'll probably see the most often. I'll just stop there. That's good enough. I can keep going and add more detail to it. Okay, this form, and most of the time when you see this Tanika form, it's going to be used to mean this. But I wanted to do the complicated example first. That way, when you see this, you're going to be like, oh, easy peasy. This Tanika form, conjugated in the exact same way, slightly different usage though, as you'll see, can also be used to simply just restate, to just re-quote, to say again something that you already said. Now, this is something that you said. By you, I mean I, the speaker, first person. And you would do this. When would you want to restate something that you already said? Right? Like you would say, I don't have time right now, I'm busy. And your friend keeps bugging you, let's meet. I told you, emphasizing it, I told you, hey, I told you already. Because when you're upset or annoyed, so when you're upset or annoyed that the person didn't hear you the first time, or maybe they weren't listening. So you're restating something you said and adding emphasis to it by restating. You're just like, I told you already. I already said. Or if it's a question, I already asked. Like, I asked you that 3 days ago. I asked you that. I just asked you that right now. I already told you. That sort of thing, that sort of emotion, that sort of feeling, when you're upset or annoyed. Why did I say annoyed? When you're upset or annoyed that they didn't hear you. So restating something. You could probably see, without me even explaining how, you could probably already understand why it can be used for that. Because we already learned that the Tanika form is used when you're restating a quote, right? When you're, well, specifically, when you're replying to a quote. So we already learned that the Tanika form is used when you're replying to something that someone said. And they're different subject. Because I said, you do this. Or because someone said, let's do this. That's sort of different subject usage. Well, when you use it like this, it's used a little bit differently. It is only used like this at the end of a sentence. So when we learned Tanika before, it was used in the middle of a sentence. However, when it's used like this, you'll only see it at the end of a sentence. So what does that mean? You'll see it a little bit differently. It'll be either Tanika or Tanikayo at the end of a sentence. And although the Tanika form, as we just learned, can be used in any sentence, polite or informal or whatever, this one is only appropriate for informal usage. So you're not going to use this form, Tanika, to restate something that you said to your boss or to a teacher or to someone you're meeting for the first time. Like, hey, I told you I need a raise. Your boss is going to be like, you're fired. Get out. This is only informal usage. It doesn't mean it's rude, but it's definitely not going to be polite. Informal only, end of sentence only. And as I said, it's all, actually, I don't even write me because it's not going to be an object. I. So only when it's used in the first person. So it's not going to be you said. So then how do we translate this? Well, I gave you some examples already, but you can think of it as meaning like, I already, maybe you can optionally have that or not. Maybe I told you ... Or, so you can translate it as maybe I told you, or I already asked you, or I already said, like that. Now, there could be other ways you could find to translate this, but basically you're just restating something that you already said, and you're a bit upset, you're a bit annoyed that you have to say it again. So we're going to do some examples of that. Let me see if there's anything else I need to Nope. That is all you need to know to use this form in this way. End of a sentence. Informal usage only. Repeating something you already said when you're annoyed. And when you see this form, this will be the most common way that you'll find this form used, I would say. Now, the other one sounds perfectly natural and is used a lot too, but this one tends to be the one that you're going to hear if you're watching dramas, if you're reading comics or something like that, because this is very common when someone just wants to repeat something they said and they're annoyed. Okay. Actually, let's put this in the next line because I want to add a yo on the end. 저는 너무 달아서 먹을 수 없다니까요. How would you translate this? I said you give me a raise, yo. Yeah, that's perfect. You can totally say that to your boss. Be like, I told you 5 times, you loser. I need a raise right now, this second, or I hate you forever. Yo. And the boss will be like, you know, I appreciate you being polite. I know you're upset. I'm going to give you a raise. That's how it'll work. I promise you. Just make sure you add that yo to the end. Your Korean's going to be super polite. Okay. I said I can't eat it because it's too sweet. Yeah. Good. Nice, Mufasa. Christopher, I already told you I can't eat it because it's so sweet. Yeah. Or in this case, you can even think of it as too sweet. I can't eat it because it's too sweet. Or so sweet, I guess. It's too sweet for me, so I told you I can't eat it. I said it's too sweet, so I can't eat it. I told you I can't eat because I'm too full. Where did that come? Did you just finish lunch? Olivia, yeah, there's no full here. 달아서, 달다. 달다 is to be sugary sweet. Now, this is different. So there's actually several words for sweet, several words for bitter, sour, spicy. I'll tell you those. So I'll tell you them after this because I think this, remind me, I'll do that in case I forget. There's 2 words for sweet, sour, bitter, spicy, all that. And they're different. This one is 달다. 달다 is just to be sugary sweet. Like something's, it's sweet. Like that sort of sweet. You can say, oh, you like sweet candy. 달다. Or, oh, it's really sweet. 달다. It's too sweet for me. I can't eat it. Okay, yep. 저는 너무 달아서 먹을 수 없다니까요. So I already told you. I can't eat it. 먹을 수 없다. Because it's too sweet. Let's take a look at this form though. So I said that when you use it at the end of a sentence, it's just for restating something and kind of showing that you're upset or annoyed that you have to say it again. Let me say that again because I'm gonna have to cut that out. So I already said that when you're using this form, it's used for restating something that you already said, and you're kind of upset or annoyed that you have to say it again. Why is that? Well, if you remember when we learned this form, what it actually means is because someone said. When it's used like this, though, the person that's saying it is always going to be I, so me, because I said. So that means be. Be, what would be? Be. You. Someone else, right? So we get the meaning of because I said I can't eat this because it's too sweet. What do you think could follow this? What do you think would make sense to follow this if we were continuing it in a sentence without ending it here? What do you think? How could we end that sentence? Because I said I can't eat it because it's too sweet. Be, you. Can you guys guess? Would you say this if someone keeps trying to force feed you sweets? Yeah. Your girlfriend makes you chocolate pepero for Valentine's Day or something. And you're like, well, you wouldn't say 저는 probably, unless you have that kind of relationship. 너무 달아서 먹을 수 없다니까. I told you I can't eat it. It's too sweet. 너무 달아서 먹을 수 없다고. Like that. An insult? Well, remember, because I told you I can't eat it because it's too sweet, what could follow that sentence naturally in English? What would you follow that sentence with? You eat it? Could be, yeah. Get it away from me? Okay. Stop giving it to me? Good. 꿈틀거려서 산낙지, yeah. 다른 거 요리해줘. Okay. Cook me something else because I said I can't eat this, it's too sweet. Yeah, it would be you do something else. Like maybe stop asking me. 그만 물어봐. 그만 먹으라고 해. Stop asking me to eat it. So you can assume that it would normally have a command at the end, but it doesn't need to. You can just end the sentence. Like, hey, come on, like, you know, I told you I can't eat it because it's too sweet, so stop asking. Like that sort of meaning. But it doesn't need to be completed. It's just used to show your frustration that you have to say it again. 저는 너무 달아서 먹을 수 없다니까요. I told you I can't eat it because it's too sweet. Okay. Erase that. 이번 주도 BTS가 1등 Actually, let's write it down here because it's a little longer. 일등일 거라니까요. Okay. 이번 주도 BTS가 1등일 거라니까요. 이번 주도 BTS가 1등일 거라니까요. 이번 주는 what does this mean? Yes, this is your beloved BTS. 이번 주도 BTS가 1등일 거라니까요. 지난주 나는 한국어를 자수 없다니까. Okay. I told you BTS would be first this week too. Okay. I told you BTS would win this week too. Okay. Could be win. First place. Yeah. Don't do BTS reference. It's I told you BTS is going to be number 1 again this week. I told you. What do you mean it's cringe? I didn't say... Just using the name. Come on. Give me a break. I'm not saying I'm not going to like do fan sentences. It's just saying the group. Okay. I could put like, what was that band? I put like NSYNC or Backstreet Boys in here. Same sentence. Okay. We're just using BTS because they're relevant. Backstreet Boys haven't been relevant since like the 90s. Or I guess the early 2000s, but. Told you BTS would be first place this week too. Billy, biggest BTS fangirl. Red Velvet. Okay. 이번 주도 Red Velvet가 레드벨벳이 1등일 거라니까요. Yeah, I don't know if they've been number 1 though in a long time since like their song Happiness, I think. Was that their biggest hit? I actually don't know. Someone has to tell me. Okay. 이번 주도 BTS가 1등일 거라니까요. So I told you, because I told you already, literally, but I told you BTS is going to be number 1. 1등. 1등이다, to be, will be number 1 again this week. 이번 주, this week. So I told you BTS is going to be number 1 again this week. I told you. That sort of meaning. Like, why do I have to tell you again? So... Maybe your friend comes up to you and they're like, wow, BTS's song is jumping on the charts. It's going up really fast. And you're like, I told you it's going to be number 1. Okay. Why do I have to tell you that again? Okay. 이 얘기는 그만 하자니까. Actually, let's do 하자니까요. Let's keep it polite. I don't want all the rude examples. 이 얘기는 그만 하자니까요. 이 얘기는 그만 하자니까요. 이 얘기는 그만 하자니까요. What does this mean? 이 얘기는 그만 하자니까요. So because I said 하자, let's do 그만하다. So what does this sentence mean? Stray Kids, Pangchan and Felix. Nate, I said let's stop talking about that. Yeah. I told you to stop talking about this topic. Okay. Could be this topic, I guess. Yeah, depending on the context, topic could work. I told you, let's stop talking about this. Yeah. I said, let's stop talking about this. Yeah, okay. I think you guys got it. So I said, 그만하자. Let's stop. 그만하다 means to stop doing something. So you can say 그만했어요, like I stopped. Or 그만해, just stop it, knock it off. 그만해. To kids, you can also say 그만. That's like, hey, okay, stop, like that. 그만 to kids. 그만해 to your friends. 이 얘기는, so this conversation, so what we're talking about, this topic, sure. 이 얘기는 그만하자니까요. I said let's just stop talking about this, okay? I said let's stop talking about this, whatever we're talking about. 이 얘기. 이 얘기는 그만하자니까요. So I said, come on, let's just stop talking about this. Okay. How do you guys feel about this? We finished covering this form now. This was an advanced topic. Not advanced that it was too hard to understand unless you're advanced, but advanced that to put it in sentences naturally, all like the sentences you saw today, those are more advanced level. You would have to kind of have a higher understanding of Korean to be able to use it naturally yourself. But yeah, so that is our lesson for today. A few announcements though, and then we're going to have a short Q&A. So feel free to ask me any questions. I'm just going to give a quick announcement. That is, if you are a Patreon member, make sure to pick up the worksheet. If you didn't think we had enough example sentences, there are 14 more example sentences. They're all really good. They're all nice and clean. You can practice with them just as good as these ones. But I have some extras and I've picked out the ones that are the most distinctive, the ones that represent the form the most for today's live stream. But there's 14 more you can practice on the worksheet, so get that on Patreon. Also, we will get brand new votes tomorrow. 4 new voting options, or maybe 5. Depends how many we get. 2, 3, 4, or 5 if we get some more. There is still time if you want to make a request for a future live stream. If you join this channel, you can then send me a message on Discord or just post it in the Discord channel anywhere and tag me and give me a request what you'd like to learn for a future live stream. And if I haven't done it already, I'm going to add it to the list so you can get your suggestion taught in a full hour-and-a-half live stream, just like today's was a member suggestion too. You still have time to do that tonight, and then tomorrow morning I'll put up 4 or 5 new voting options. Also, make sure to join our Discord. So I mentioned the Discord, that is open 24/7. It's completely free. You can chat with other channel members. You can chat with other people learning Korean. You can chat with me sometimes. There are other people who speak Korean fluently. There are people who are native Korean there. Just make sure to check it out. And yeah, there's a link to that in the description of this video. That is all the announcements we have for today. So if you have any questions, I'll take questions for about 10 minutes or so. And then I'll start editing the abridged version, which also, if you're a member, you get to watch tonight before everyone else. Yay, we survived an advanced lesson. Yeah, you guys, everyone did really good. Billy Joel. I had a question but forgot. All right. That's great. That's wonderful. What does 잘자 mean? 잘자. Literally, 잘 is well. To do something like appropriately, properly, well, 자다 is to sleep, to go to sleep. So sleep well. Good night. 잘 자. Oh, hey, Cheryl. Thank you. Nice. The more advanced lessons I do, the more I forget about donations. Maybe next week should be a lesson on ways to show your love for your special person using Korean. I don't know if that could be a full live stream. Like what sort of things? Like 사랑하다, to love. 좋아하다, to like. 진짜 좋아하다, to really like. I don't think it would be a full live stream though. But anyway, yeah, thanks for your donation. 2, 3, get 10 dabs. 8, 9, 10. Okay. Thank you. How is my kid doing with his Korean? Great. Of course, better if we could be in Korea right now. But I'm still doing a lot of the stuff that we started doing since he was, like, I'd say 1 or 2 with speaking. And they're all working really well. So far, he speaks completely bilingually. That's not going to continue, though, unless we're able to get him more exposure to Korean, though. Because, like I said, lately we haven't been able to meet anyone, of course, for the last year. But we still have him frequently call his grandma in Korean. He sometimes talks with other Korean friends over the phone. But we're not able to get the face-to-face that we would normally get. So hopefully this year, though, we can go back and that'll be okay. But yeah, so far, doing great. Speaks Korean and English. Korean, he sounds like a 5-year-old. But yeah, he can totally speak. Some ways he actually speaks better Korean than English, depending on what he's talking about. In English, he can say more things, but that results in him trying to say more things that don't make sense. But in Korean, he tends to make a little more sense with what he's talking about. 애가 다 not is an adjective? I'm not sure what you mean. Do you have more worksheets on 중이다? I thought I had a live stream about 중이다. Didn't I? Oh, I also remembered that someone requested me to do a new emote in my Discord that is imitating the Jungkook Shook image, the image. So I want to try to see if I can mimic the Jungkook Shook image. I actually can't see myself right now. I wish I could see myself so I could check. Let's see. I think he's like this. His eyes open, lips are slightly open. I don't know how that looks. I can't see myself. As soon as I look at the monitor to check, I'm already like looking at the monitor and the image. I don't know if that's good. Can someone tell me how I can improve it? I want to do the Jungkook Shook emote that I can put in my server. Okay. Can anyone explain what 티가 나다? Yeah, T. You don't really need to learn what T means by itself, but the way it works is 티가 나다 is, T is like a sign of something, like evidence of something in that sort of sense. 티가 나다 literally, there is a sign comes out, or evidence of something comes out. And it's used to mean that something is obvious, but a natural way we would say is, I can tell. I can tell that something happened. I can tell. Basically, there is a sign, like obviously I see a sign of something. So like, I can tell you're not actually a Korean. You know, I can tell, 좀 티나. 티가 나는데, 티가 안 나요. I can't really tell. I can tell or I can't tell. So if someone says, hey, I got a stain on my shirt. 별로 티가 안 나. 티 안 나요. There is no sign of that. There is no indication of that. There is no evidence of that. That sort of meaning. Or we would just say, I can't tell. Or, it's not obvious. 티나? 내가 한국 사람이 아닌 거 티나? Is it obvious I'm not Korean? They say, 당연히 티나지. Of course it's obvious. 말을 막 한마디만 해도 티나. Like I can tell it's obvious just if you say one word. So it's obvious, but yeah, I can tell, I can't tell. That's 티가 나다. Again, that's kind of more intermediate grammar. 상상하다 is to imagine. His love for BTS is Tina. Yeah, you could say that's obvious. It's apparent. Like, I can tell that he likes BTS. That sort of meaning. Yeah, you could say that. You're looking up too much when you do it. Tilt your head down a little more. Okay. So it's not like... Okay, I also have to do like this. I'm not sure what he's feeling when he's doing that face. I don't know how. hopefully we can clip out one frame of that. Hopefully someone can clip one frame of that and we can make a Billy Shook emote. Okay. You use some of those little plastic gemstone stickers to signify the earrings. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I also need like a... He also has like a... Like a sweater. I don't have a sweater though. I do have this. Maybe this will work. Okay. Because I can see the picture that he's got, like his I don't know what we call that, the turtleneck sweater. And then I need... Oh, hey, Small, for the Jungkook impression. I'm still working on it, Small. It's not done. It's not ready. Thank you, Small, for the $5 donation. Okay, I need to get some earrings or something now. So I don't have... You know what I do have? I do have these magnets. These little magnets. I think one of these would work. So let me get some tape. Hold on. Gotta find some tape. I think I have some here. Yes. Okay, I got tape. Put that on the back of this. Oh no, I just dropped something. Okay. Fix that later. Okay. Got a little bit of tape. Stick it on there. Then maybe, I think it's this ear. It gotta be this ear, yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay, I think we got it. Okay, I think it's good. Maybe that. Maybe we got it. Because you can't see my other ear anyway, so I think it's a little better. And anyway, it's got to be cut. You have to cut it just to the face. Anyway, right? I think I should also be a little bit more this way. Okay, maybe that. What do you guys think? Is that good? Did we get it? Did we got it? Do Koreans, KMB08, do Koreans actually say 당근 instead of 당연히? Yes. They go further than that though. Because normally the word is 당연하다. 당연하다 means to be obvious or like of course. 당연하지, like of course it is. Or 당연히, of course, like obviously someone did something in that sort of sense. 당연하다. But 당연 sounds kind of like 당근. You know, meaning a carrot, 당근. So people, what they do is they'll say 당근 plus 이다, which will become 당근이지. And they say 당근이지, or sometimes they just say 당근, like it is a carrot. 당근이지, or maybe they'll just send an emoticon of a carrot. That means like, of course, because it sounds kind of like 당연하지, 당근이지. It's kind of similar. People even go further though, because what is a carrot? Well, a carrot is horse food, right? So you'll also hear 말밥, 말밥이지. Pop is of course a meal, your rice, and 말 is a horse, so it's horse food. So some people say that as well, like with eg at the end as well. I think there's even another variation of it, but yeah, basically that's what it is. Did you get it? Did we get the emote? Okay, I think we got it. I think we got it. Because anyway, it's not going to be the whole thing anyway. It's just going to be the just the face part cut out. Because we used to have that emote in my Discord server, but we deleted it because the server that had, like, there was some BTS server in the Discord channel that got removed. It wasn't active. No one used it. But along with that, we lost all the emotes, and some people missed some of the emotes. So I'm just trying to recreate the most requested one. That way people won't be sad. Okay. Go ahead and, sorry, that was total waste of time. But it was essential. We needed that. So yeah, any more questions? I'm taking questions for a few more minutes. My question was meant like, I've never seen 애가 타 used outside of it. 애가 타는 밤이야. So I guess what was it that you wanted to know about? This is on a national level? Papa bless. Oh, let me check. Did we get it? Okay, let me put that there. Oh, that's right. I can't really check the Discord right now because it'll start making a notification cells. Okay, I'll check it later. Korean mythology facts. Mythology. I wouldn't be the best person to ask about that. I know very little when it comes to that. Unless you're talking about like the really common stuff that like everyone knows, you know, like those folk stories and stuff like that. Some of those I know, but I think any native Korean would be able to tell you more than me about like general mythology or stories like that. That's not my forte. What is your opinion on non-Koreans adopting Korean names? I actually made a video about that, a full video about that. If you search how to pick a Korean name, and I say I don't recommend it unless you have a need for it. But if you want, go ahead and do it, because I think it's not necessary most of the time. If you have a name that can be pronounced by Koreans, then just use your real name. If your name is so hard that Koreans can't pronounce it, then I think you should still try to tell them your name. And then when they can't say it, you say, just call me, and then give them a Korean name or a shorter version of your name. Then I think that's fine. If you have an English name that can be translated directly into Korean, like a word, like crystal, you can say the word for crystal in Korean is just sujong. So, and sujong also happens to be a name. Violet, pora, is the color, but it also could be a name in Korean too, pora. So if you have a name that can be translated, yeah, go ahead and use it. That's fine. Otherwise, I think just use your regular name and have a Korean name if your name is too hard to be pronounced by anyone. But yeah, I don't think it's necessary for most cases. Now, if your name is like the person in here, Xena Warrior Princess, I recommend having a Korean name for that because no one's going to be able to say that in Korea. Why is there a formal language in Korean and a casual? Well, there is in like a lot of languages too, not just Korean. I know Korean, it's more strict and they have more levels, but even in like, you know, Spanish, you would have a, like a you, different versions of you. I don't speak any Spanish. I just know there's like two is like the casual one. And then there's like there's another more polite. In French, you know, vous for you and tu for you. Korean is kind of a similar idea. You want to show more respect to the person you're talking with or sometimes talking about. That's just how it works. And in English, we don't really do that with just different pronouns. In English, we change the way we're speaking by sometimes speaking more slowly, speaking more clearly, changing the way we phrase questions, right? Like if you're meeting a stranger, you wouldn't say, "Sup, bro?" Like you could, but it's a little bit like rude. You know, if I were to go meet some 50-year-old guy on the street, "Hey, it's up there, bro." You know, you'd want to be more polite. Like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing?" Right? It's kind of a feeling. You want to feel like you're, you know, showing respect to the person. And in Korea, that feeling just so happens to be more strong than it is in America or probably in, you know, other English-speaking countries too. But it's the same kind of concept. You just want to show more respect toward whoever you're talking about. And English does that with by changing your tone, by changing the grammar you use. But with Korean, it's mostly just change your verbs and your pronouns. My name is Mari, but it's the counter for animals. That's fine. Mari is okay. Sounds like Mary. I think it's fine. My name is Rachel, but I tell people just call me Ray. Ray what? Ray Skywalker. Sorry. I will never forget that. I'll never forget that. It's the only time I've ever seen my mom laugh out loud in the movie theater. Not a comedy movie. 안녕하세요. 저는 진아 프린세스라고 합니다. Okay, very good. Ustad. Yeah. Like that. And you can ask, why would you use that? Well, of course, it's just you want to sound extra polite to the person. You want to show respect. And Korean, it's the same thing. Italian is tu lei? Interesting. I don't speak Italian. I don't know any Italian. In Argentina, you guys are saying, we say vos no matter who we are speaking. Okay, it's interesting. So in Argentina, they just use the polite version no matter what. In English, we actually have that in English. I don't know if you guys knew this. English also has, originally, now has a informal and formal word for you. If you're religious, you probably know them. These are the informal. These are no, basically, for close friends. Thee, thou, thine. These are not polite. You is the polite one. In other languages, this became, because it's Latin based. In French, this was vous. You said vos. It's probably the same, probably from the same word, vos. Yeah, these are the polite ones. We don't use these anymore, but you probably have heard them before. The. Yeah, these are the informal words. We don't use them in English anymore. We just use the polite one, you. Didn't know how to use them. Yeah, usually people have heard of them. Or you know these forms in English if you studied Shakespeare. That's true. Shakespeare also used them too. I do bite my thumb at thee, or something like that. I can't remember. All I can remember, sadly, all I can remember is the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet movie, which will be permanently burned into my mind. That movie made me rethink my life. Like, I know there's some people who really liked it. That was I don't even want to talk about it in fear of offending people who liked that movie, but I did not like that movie. How do you pronounce Angelina? Angelina. There actually is a coffee brand in Korea, a cafe franchise called they better send me a check. I'm expecting a check next week from this company. Angel in Us Coffee. Now, I think it's the dumbest name in Korean. Not your name, but the Korean name. And everyone pronounces this as Angelinos. Angelinos. It doesn't really make any sense, but it's kind of like Angelina. So you just say Angelina, because they all know about Angelina Jolie, Angelina Jolie. But yeah, it just made me think about Angelinos. So yeah. Anyway, there's a bunch of big brands, and that's one of the brands of coffee. They have the worst hot chocolate of all the brands I've tried. Because I usually just get hot chocolate. Not a coffee drinker. But I get hot chocolate whenever I go to a cafe, and I've tried all of them. That was my least favorite hot chocolate. Okay. Yeah, take care, Chris. May I request a lesson here, even if I literally cannot become... Well, you can request, but I won't be able to do it because I have a long list of... I already have a list of requests from members, so I take those first. If I don't have any member requests, I can take subscriber requests, but that usually hasn't happened lately because I have a lot. Did your English speech and mannerism change after learning Korean? No, but my mannerisms changed after I started teaching Korean. My English speaking like what I'm doing right now, how I'm speaking, is very different than how I speak English normally, just with my family. Of course, that's normal, right? You speak differently around your family, but also a little bit differently than how I would speak with people when I'm not teaching. I'm a little bit faster than this. This is my kind of slow voice, but not really just from learning Korean, not so much. Of course, I became more aware of what I was saying in English, but at the same time, I also realized that it doesn't matter. I can still speak English however I want. It doesn't have to change how I speak English because it's a different language. No, Billy, now they won't give you money. Oh, no. I have been reading the Quran in Korean. How do you think that would affect my Korean? If that's all you're reading, negatively, I mean, there is so much grammar that's in that, as well as any religious text, because they're based on older writing, although it's not really that old of writing that it is. Like in English, when you think about Bible speech or that language, you're actually looking at around the 1600s, late 1600s of English, you know, like King James Bible, that sort of thing. But in Korean, they weren't translated back then. So it's likely that the Quran or whatever was translated, I'm going to guess, I don't know, I'm going to guess sometime in the 1800s at the earliest. Probably even later, maybe 1900s that it was translated. I don't know. Because of that, you're not really going to get that crazy of old Korean like you do in English. You get really like awkward English in religious texts in English because they're based on older English. If you're learning that stuff, you're going to be picking up a lot of old, no longer used grammar and vocabulary words. Mostly grammar, I'd say. And it's not good. But if that's not all you're using, it's not really going to affect you very much because you're still going to learn the correct forms other places. And then you'll learn when you see it here, you're like, oh, I see. That must be some older way to say this form I'm learning, right? Because there's a lot of that. There's a lot of older forms. And I taught some of those when I did the historical Korean dramas live stream, which there actually is one. You can check it out and learn a lot of old Korean that's used in those types of things. But yeah, as long as it's not your only source, it should be fine. But if that's your only source, then yeah, I would worry. You're going to sound very strange if you start quoting like or using that type of thing. Like one really quick example, I don't really want to talk about this too much. Really quick example is how do you give a command to someone if you want to say like go? Normally, you take the verb and you conjugate it. Now, in kada's place, for kada to go, you just get ka. And then you attach da to the end of it. So you get kara. Kara. Okay, get out of here. So you conjugate a verb. If you want to say do something, hada would become hey. Da. Hera. Do it. This is a harsh command. This is not something you tell someone that you're not really close with. This would be like your closest friends. You're saying, hey, just do it. So it's kind of like a very informal, playful, but strong, like straightforward command. Like, just do it. Hera, knyang hera, just do it. Now, there is a different command form that looks just like that, but is this. And the way you do it is you take the verb stem, and not the conjugated verb, not hey, but you would be left with just ha. So you get ha, and then you attach ura if it ends in a consonant, or la if it ends in a vowel. Now this form is used to make quotes of commands. 하라고 했어요. I said 하라. I said do it. But this is not used to make commands by themselves anymore. This is the original way to make commands like 100 years, 200 years ago. This is a very straightforward way of making commands. And this is the one that you'll read in religious texts. Thou shalt, hajimara, like those sorts of things. Thou shalt not, or you should do this, or whatever. That's the hara, whatever. So if you learn this and you start telling people hara, it'll sound like you're like trying to speak like all formally and really rude, and it just sounds really awkward. So don't use this. Even though it looks the exact same, it is a different command form. I mean, sure, it came from the same thing, but it's conjugated differently and it has a completely different feeling. Hera and hara sound completely different to Korean, telling them to do something. Now, sometimes they will be the same. Kada would become kara, kara, but they would never think you're saying this one, though, if you said kara, because it totally would be this one. Anyway, Like you might tell someone, hey, just try it. Try the food, right? 먹어봐라. 그냥 먹어봐라. You wouldn't say 먹어보라. Thou shalt try. Like they'll be like, all right, I shall. Okay, I guess. Then they might reply with some weird antique language just like that when you tell them to do that. Okay, anyway, that's enough stuff for today. Thank you everyone for coming. Hopefully I'll see you again next week, and take care. Make sure to get your requests in tonight if you want to request a topic for tomorrow's votes. We're going to get all new votes tomorrow morning. Thanks for coming again, and I will see you next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.